Thank you both, all three, for a really good talk. Now we're going to research data management, and we're going to hear two speakers that are going to talk about how to set up a successful research data management network. And the first that's going to speak is, I might say it the wrong way, Joëlle Desterbecq she's a research data office manager at Louvain, and she will talk about strengthening practices and collaboration in the RDM. So please, Joëlle, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for organizing this event and for introducing me. Yes, my name is Joëlle Desterbecq, and I'm Research Data Officer at the University of Louvain in Belgium. I'm responsible for developing and implementing open science policies at UCLouvain, as well as research data management services. So the objective is to ensure that research data are managed in a responsible, fair way, in an ethical way, and to ensure compliance with different requirements, legal, contractual, or regulatory requirements. Open science is embedded in UCLouvain's strategic plan 2024 to 2029, as well as in the previous one. So the aim is really to foster a culture of open science, which includes research data management within the institution. So as my presentation focuses on research data management, I would like to begin by defining what is meant by research data and what this entails in terms of data management. So I will share my screen for this element. The context, so what are the main principles of data management? The OECD defines research data as factual records. So it can be numerical score, textual records, images, sound, etc., used as primary sources for scientific research, and that are commonly accepted in the scientific community as necessary to validate the research findings. So we see that data can take many different forms, from experimental data to figures, medical imagery, survey, questionnaire, etc. And they can be stored in different formats, different file format, PDF, PNG, etc. So there is a wide variety of research data. Open data is one of the practice of open science focused on data sharing, and here it can be defined as open data is data that can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone, and subject at the most to the requirement to attribute, so always cite the author of the data set, or etc., and share alike, so share under the same terms, the same conditions as those you have benefit from. So we can see with this definition that open data is not simply about making data available on the internet, available online. Data must be only accessible, but also reusable to be open. In fact, to be useful, open data must adhere to the principle of fair data management. Fair means findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So to summarize briefly, findables, in fact, the first step in reusing data, is to find them, is to find data. So metadata and data should be easy to locate, both for human but also for computers. They don't, for example, they have to be deposited in a repository with metadata, etc. Once the user has found the data, the user must know how to access them, possibly without authentication or authorization if it's restricted access, but they have to be accessible in a sustainable way. Interoperable, because data should be able to be integrated with other datasets, for example, or interoperating with applications or workflow. And finally, reusable is the ultimate goal of open data. So to achieve this, data must be well documented, and a license must clearly state what the user can or cannot do with the data. So these are the practices we train researchers, and we support them in implementing these practices. Now the second part, to support and promote fair data management, each French community, each French-speaking university in Belgium has appointed a research data officer, like me, for example, and these RDO work within the respective university in collaboration with a community of data ambassadors. So it's a model inspired in part by practices at the University of Cambridge and TU Delft. And an inter-university network of data ambassadors has thus been established, and it's comprising currently over 80 members. These initiatives pursue two main objectives. The first is to combine a central and institutional support for researchers with local or disciplinary support. And why is it necessary? I think it's necessary because research data management practices vary across scientific discipline. And also because the literature shows that experience transfer is more effective among peers. So data ambassadors possess disciplinary expertise. The second element is to foster and exchange practices and sharing information within an inter-university dynamic. So the mission of data ambassadors includes different elements, translating the general recommendation into their discipline, organizing awareness-raising activities, or dialogue with the institution.
I just say it's 3 minutes more, so then, yeah.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay. Here my reflection is about the main challenge faced by the EA community and the potential action to overcome these challenges. So the main challenges, the first element is, according to me, the diversity of data types, which pose challenges in terms of training and support and evaluation of open science practices. The second challenge is linked to the first, is the variation in research data management practices across scientific discipline and culture. And it's in its awareness-raising activity, the community of data ambassadors sometimes also encounter resistance to the open data philosophy from certain members of the scientific community. So this requires really a cultural shift. Some researchers also have concerns or fears about open data, particularly with regard to data ownership, Will I lose my copyright? What if someone steal my data? And RDM are also frequently perceived as an obligation. So I will skip the last one and go to the potential leverage to conclude this. So to conclude on a positive note and to open the discussion, I would like to present a few possible strategies and levers for action to overcome these challenges. So in my opinion, the first leverage is to train early career researcher in order to change practices in the medium term. For example, train the doctoral student. The second element is to demystify open science, and more specifically here, open data, to emphasize the link between open science and scientific integrity, because open science is not just a matter of obligation, but it's an integral part of research integrity. To highlight the benefits of open science practices for both scientific community, but also for individual researcher. To recognize and to value open science practices, and I link this reflection to the reform of the agreement on reforming research assessment and the CORA coalition. Chiara Letta mentioned previously the CORA, but I think it's important to change the practices. And finally, it's important to share experiences to foster mutual training. So here is the main elements. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joëlle, for a really nice introduction to what you have been working on. The next speaker is Christophe Perales, and he is head of library and museums at the University of Paris Cité, and he is going to talk about research data management, our approach at Paris Cité. So the floor is yours, Christophe.
Thank you, Margaret, please. Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to speak today in front of such a large audience. And I'd like to share an overview of how Université Paris Cité is approaching the question of research data management, what we've done so far, and what we're heading. But before getting to the details, let me briefly introduce the university itself and explain how the issue of research data fits within the broader movement towards open science. So I will share my screen. Few words about Université Paris Cité. So Université Paris Cité is a comprehensive and research-intensive university. It brings together three faculties: health, sciences, and societies and humanities, as well as 24 departments and 113 research units. We also include one constituent institution, the Institut de Physique du Globe de Paris, which is specialized in earth sciences. And we have, that's important for the rest of my presentation, we have a strong exclusive partnership with the Institut Pasteur. The university has over 68,000 students, around 4,800 faculty and researchers, and nearly 2,800 support staff. Thanks to the diversity and excellence of its field, from medicine and experimental sciences to the humanities and social sciences, Paris Cité has made interdisciplinarity a defining feature of its identity under its signature theme of planetary healthy people in healthy societies on a healthy planet. Research data in the context of open science. So let's turn to this question now and place it in the wider context of open science. Today, there's a broad agreement that open access to publications is a positive development. It helps rebalance the relationship between researchers and large academic publishers. increases the visibility and impact of research, it was said before, and promotes the circulation of highly quality scientific knowledge. In a world where misinformation spreads faster than ever, and where public mistrust of science has grown, especially since COVID-19, open access also plays a crucial role in reinforcing the credibility of scientific communication. And I think it's a very important thing. But the situation is quite different when it comes to research data. And that hesitation is perfectly understandable, I think. Because most of a researcher's time is spent creating, collecting, and processing data. So it's only natural to want to make full use of those data to publish all the results they allow before making them publicly available. And sometimes, too, sharing data can be difficult or even impossible. For example, when they contain sensitive or confidential information, or when they require anonymization or involve industrial or socio-economic partnerships. So while opening data is certainly desirable at the end of the research process, the decision must always rest with the researcher or the research team who created them. From my point of view, there can be no obligation in that respect. But that said, even if data are not meant to be shared openly, they still need to be properly managed to ensure they can be processed, stored, and where appropriate, preserved over time. This is where the FAIR principles come in. We heard about that, making data findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Applying these principles is now considered best practice, even when the data won't ultimately be made public. It means having secure storage infrastructures and setting up data management plans, DMPs, from the very beginning of a project. These plans describe how data will be collected, structured, processed, and shared. And they rely on metadata, descriptive metadata, technical metadata, and legal metadata to ensure data are properly documented, protected, and proper management of access rights. What is our approach of this matter at Université Paris Cité? At Université Paris Cité and the Institut Pasteur, we're working closely together on these issues within the national program known as Atelier de la Donnée, research data workshops, if you want, led by the Ministry of Higher Education and Research in France. This national initiative aims to build a network of shared expertise across France through a process of ministerial certification. And to obtain this label, each university must demonstrate that it has successfully brought together all stakeholders in research data management, and that it applies the FAIR approach in practice. At Paris Cité, these stakeholders are many and complementary. They include first and foremost the researchers themselves, supported by a network of open science contact points in the labs, sort of ambassadors if you want. We also involve the research support services, which help teams prepare project proposals and funding applications, both within each of our 3 faculties and at the central level for cross-faculty projects. Our IT services are, of course, essential partners too, as are the technical staff in the labs who handle data collection and processing. And finally, librarians and archivists play a crucial role in training, awareness raising, and support for drafting data management plans, working closely with our legal department and our data protection officer regarding GDPR compliance. Our shared objective is to create a one-stop service for research data management, a place where any researcher can find advice, guidance, and support, whatever their discipline or specific question. And it's broad, as you can see. We're currently building this service called Data Cité with the goal of obtaining the Atelier de la Donnée label in 2026. To prepare for this, we've mapped researchers' needs throughout the data life cycle, from planning and organization at the start of a project to data collection and creation, processing and analysis, and finally sharing and dissemination. We're also identifying existing infrastructures, both national and European. For example, Humanum's Nakala platform or USC, because our aim is not to reinvent the world, but to complement what already exists. And in that perspective, some communities, such as geneticists or astronomers, are already very advanced in data management. Our challenge is to provide just the right level of support, enough to be useful, but always adapted to the needs of each project. How Data Cité will work? Data Cité will operate on 3 levels. First, administrators will receive researchers' requests and provide an initial response within 24 hours, either answering directly or connecting them with the right experts. Second, every response will contribute to a shared knowledge base so that the entire network of experts can build expertise collectively. And third, the technical, scientific, and administrative experts. The aim is to unite all these stakeholders and make researchers' daily work simpler and smoother when it comes to managing that data. Finally, what about open data? As I mentioned earlier, publishing research data is not an obligation, but a possibility. In France, the Ministry of Higher Education and Research offers a secure repository called Researchdata.gouv, which researchdata.com, .gouv, sorry, where teams can deposit their data sets at the end of a project. So each university can have its own institutional space, and University Paris Cité is just about to open its own. You can see the one of Institut Pasteur. So wish us luck as we move forward with Data Cité in our efforts to obtain the Atelier de la Donnée label in 2026. And thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I'm sorry.
Thank you so very much, Christophe, for a really interesting presentation. I think we already have questions in my chat, so I can start with that. And it's how to best balance junior and more senior members in the RDM network. The former have more time and can get credit by joining such a network, but are likely to leave after a couple of years. While the later will stay longer, but are often already snowed under. So, Joëlle or Christophe, is there something you have an answer to? Or some thoughts around?
I can try to answer this question. Yes, how to best balance junior and senior members. I speak for the experience of UCLouvain. We have very different profile in our community of data ambassador. For example, permanent scientific coordinator of project or coordinator of publication, or academics professor. But I think to balance junior and senior profile, in UCLouvain, we try to reach a different profile by going step by step. We organize a meeting with president of institute to present the possibilities and the objective of the network and the main concept of open science. We try to go to welcome academic day, but also to welcome new researcher day. And we organize a presentation in different research institute to have a very diversity of participants. And then it's a matter of communication and to convince the members we have encountered to join the community, to embrace the open science practices.
Do you have anything to add on, Christophe?
Maybe I'm not sure. It's really the problem we are facing. I think the problem is to convince, to promote enough the question, to convince people that it is useful to spend a little time. And I said a little time because they're supposed to be supported by all these network of experts I talk about. Some communities won't never need us because, like I said, astronomers they are already very, very well organized. But for a lot of researchers, the problem now is that we intervene too late. In fact, they lost data. They have problems to reuse them or share them with their stakeholders in other universities around a research project. So I think what we have to do is to convince them it's not such difficult, and it is very useful. And I think when we succeeded, that it's okay. It's not, for me, it's not really a problem about junior and senior members.
An official, and sorry again, I don't speak French, Atelier de la Donnée certification sound like a great approach to formalize and unite RDM efforts. Isn't there a risk that such a top-down approach, despite its advantages, leads to a compliance culture, as in OR publishing? Are there any parallel bottom-up efforts? Is there anyone who wants to answer that, or have something?
As you know, France has a long tradition of top-down policies, national policies, and last few years, I think it became again very fashionable with our presidents. But in that case, it's just an impulse. You know, you don't have any money if you have the label or not. So I think the most important question is to federate all the experts in the university around these subjects, and there is no obligation to go or to push towards open data. Like I said, we have to convince people that there's advantages for them to enter in that approach to manage data, but if they don't want to, we can force them, and that's not the ministry who can either.
Are there any more? No. Yes. There is. I think I want to ask a question now. So if I know there is time, because it's at 3 o'clock, we're going to finish. I think so. I like the thing that you were talking about, Joëlle, about the diversity, about the disciplines and the cultures, and you might have said something about it, but I think for University of Oslo, where I work, and we're also trying to change the culture with diversity of data, different communities. Do you have? Do you mean this is a good way to go with the data ambassador? And also, are the researchers that are ambassadors with in? If you had said that, I'm sorry.
There are different profile of very different profile of data ambassador. Permanent scientific, yes, they are scientific. The more of research data ambassador are now scientific or have been previously scientific. They are also a professor, academic, but also a person with a main administrative profile, such as they are responsible for to coordinate research project, or they have a profile of supporting researcher. But I think the main interest of working with this disciplinary network is because the practices of research data management are very different. Sometimes more qualitative, more quantitative. Some disciplines are more familiar than other with these principles. The constraints, for example, the code of ethics are very different from one discipline to other. So all these elements, I think, reinforce the need to work with a central level and a local level, and they interact in the process.
Thank you. And Christophe, I also have a question for you. You said that you're working tight with the IT department and the legal team with the GDPR, but also here in Oslo, we are feeling the pressures from the world of what's happening out there. It's been more unsecure. We're talking about securing the data or the research and so on. Are you also talking, or are you collaboration with them? It's because we say this was the first thing we said actually before FAIR, that the data should be as open as possible and as close as necessary. And the secure people now are talking more about that than we. So please, if you have some answers.
Yes, in fact, the question of securing data and the systems and infrastructures are a key point of the IT services policy in our university, and also in Researchdata.gouv, the platform I talked about, the ministerial platform to expose data in open data. It's very secured. So, as you know, it's never totally secured. It can be, but it's as secure as it could be.
If it's okay, we have one more quick question and maybe a quick answer. Are there any efforts to federate RDM best practice and experience in the Circle U? Don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
And that I hope that this kind of meetings is a step to federate some best practices, and I hope so. It can initiate some some work about it, around it.
It's a very best way to share the practices and to discuss the difficulties, etc. So yes, I think also.
And I say thank you to both of you, Christophe and Joëlle, and I really appreciate your speech.